Let us go to the origin of the Iraqi nuclear technology and nuclear quest. What lies behind it?
It all started really, in fact, by the United States. After the Second World War and the atomic bombs of America over Japan and Russia exploding its bomb in 1949, followed by France, there was a program called Atom for Peace by Eisenhower at the time. And the purpose of that program was that if you spread the nuclear information, the peaceful uses of nuclear technology, you somehow abort the drive toward weaponization. And part of that program was a gift to Iraq in 1956 of, at that time, a complete library on nuclear energy, what was published about nuclear energy, peaceful uses of it. And a gift of a small nuclear power, of a nuclear reactor, not a power one, a zero power, for research. But that library, in fact, contained some of the books and reports of the Manhattan Project itself.
So they actually gave you the blueprint how to make a bomb inadvertently?
Yes, and I found that in 1987. I found those books in a chest with 5 centimeters of dust on them in the Library of Iraq, of the Atomic Energy of Iraq. And those books really spurred us forward.
The Iraqi government sent you, along with several highly intelligent students, to go and train in France. The Mossad, the Israeli intelligence, actually made some attempts to penetrate this group. Were you enticed, were you approached by Mossad?
Upon hindsight, I say yes now. Now I say yes. We were approached when we were in Paris. We were training on these 2 nuclear research reactors that we bought from France. We were approached by a lady doing a survey, and she came several times, and we became more friendly. We had even lunch, dinner together. She had a friend with her. But on hindsight, now I can, for 90% probability, she was the same lady as the previous Prime Minister of Israel.
Tzipi Livni actually approached you, the Israeli, currently the leader of Kadima, the former foreign minister, and what she was supposed to be the prime minister, was in France in that period as a Mossad agent, and she approached you.
Yes, because her face is distinctive. A bit changed, a bit older, but at that time I can now connect. And then when I read that she was actually in France as a Mossad agent, the same period of time that we were there, it connected.
Absolutely amazing. Imad Khadouri, this is a first. Imad Khadouri was approached by Tzipi Livni to become a double agent. When the bomb fell on Iraq in 1981, where were you?
Well, it was about after 6 in the evening when the sun was going down. So everybody was at home except for some late workers at the reactor. And so from home, which is 20 kilometers away, we could hear the explosions. And we would run up on the roof of the house, and we could see the smoke and the plume coming out, and realizing that it is Al-Tuwaitha that was bombed. And could see the Israeli planes heading west back to Israel. And definitely, Saddam took the political decision to go forward intensely on the nuclear weapon program. Until that time, from 74 on, they were just testing the water, throwing ideas, what to do, not to do, and so forth. But that attack, definitely, convinced Saddam to initiate that program. And for that purpose, we had one of the great scientists, Dr. Jafar, who was under house imprisonment for 18 months for supporting Dr. Hussein Shahrastani at the time, who is now the oil minister. He was released from his house arrest, and he came, and the program was initiated. And I remember once I went in 1981 to attend a conference in California, using my technology that I was using for the prospecting, and Dr. Jafar wanted some very sensitive articles on the weaponization, and as well to acquire some lasers, very sensitive lasers. So I went there, and I went to a American librarian who had her business card on the table at her home, and I gave her a list of the reports that I want. And within 2-3 days, I went back and I collected them for $200 or something. Then I flew to Florida, and I met an Indian in the airport, gave him a suitcase full of cash, and he gave me the lasers. And of course, I had my security with me at the time, and then we came back to Baghdad. That was in the early 80s. I was in the program to acquire a nuclear power station from the Soviet Union, which was really a camouflage for the real nuclear weapon program. In 87, there was a big, huge turnover in the program, in the weaponization program. And a new technological venue was chosen, which is the same methodology as was used in Manhattan. So I was asked to come back and get the information for this process, the classified and the covert. And there, I did many things, for example. I found, first of all, these books that were in the library for about 50 years. They were the Manhattan books.
And you also subscribed to many scientific journals with faked addresses in Baghdad, and these magazines were sent to different places, including the central bank,
yes,
where you, on a monthly basis, you would go and collect these magazines and give them to the scientists.
I give it, yes, under camouflage names, and we collected huge amount of recent, at the time, information and technological, and also I hired the services of an American company that indexed all products. If you have a product, you can tell which company will sell it for you, what are the standards applied to that product, and the standards that apply. And I rented that library for $250,000 a year. Not only that, all the American weapon library, all on microfilm. The Russian reactor, which at that time was upgraded to 5 megawatts, unfortunately, we had, because of the Iran war, we had constructed a steel cover, because the reactor is a big pool of water and exposed on the top. So this steel cover was built to protect it from a direct hit. For some reason, knowing that the Americans will be attacking on that night, on Thursday, on February 17th, the reactor was kept on running to produce some elements required. And when the bombs started to fall at 2 a.m., some bombs fell close to the building of the reactor, so close that the operators left the building afraid it's going to be bombed. But then they were courageous enough, brave enough to rush back in, turn off the reactor, and put this cover on top of it. Had by any chance, slim chance, a bomb breached that reactor containment, it would have been a
Iraq and the region would have been contaminated for years to come.
Yes, a mini Chernobyl would have. The nuclear program in Iraq ceased to exist as of the night of Thursday, February 17th, when we were bombed.
If I am to ask you about the lessons Iran learned from the Iraqi experience, how would you summarize it?
They learned two important lessons. The first one was that in 1991, after the carpet bombing of Iraq, the Americans and the Israeli intelligence and the British MI6 missed a couple of very critical establishments of the nuclear program, weapon program. One of them is where the bomb was to be manufactured. Only when they came on the ground, the inspectors, did they find out about these establishments. That is a very good lesson for Iran to make sure that their program is not infiltrated by any spies, any human intelligence. And that's why, at the moment, neither the Americans nor the Israelis know the complete scope of the Iranian nuclear bomb. Secondly, they went underground. With the new technology of enrichment, using the centrifuge, that can be easily hidden in buildings, in spaces, and connected through pipes, unlike other technologies. So they learned, because Iraq, although it had its electromagnetic plants in operation, the Americans bombed them by mistake. They didn't know they were there. So on top of that, the Iranians can very easily put them underground, connect them, and produce what is required for the